welcome back to Vera's View. I'm here to once again run down this week's Raw and SmackDown. We're going to start off with Raw and my fails as per usual. The first one being Roman Reigns versus Jason Jordan. The crowd reaction was less than desirable. They were pretty dead through most of the match. And you know what? I'm just sick and tired of them trying to shove Jason Jordan down our throats. I know he's very talented, but this is not the way to go about pushing him, I don't think. Then we also got another pissing contest between Roman Reigns and John Cena after the match, and I've had enough of that as well. Although John Cena did have a good line when he told Roman Reigns, "I'm like a drug test, you'll never get past me." Ouch. Bray Wyatt beating up Goldust and taking off his face paint was a fail for me this week. I understand the correlation there with his face paint and Finn Balor's, but this just kills any momentum that he did have left. I really enjoyed seeing the rebirth of Goldust. He was doing some fun stuff with, his Shattered Dreams Productions, and he was supposed to have this big reveal at SummerSlam that just never happened, and it just kind of slowed his pace. But you know what? This kills it all together. Goldust is once again done. Braun Strowman versus John Cena was a fail for me this week. I'm glad they didn't book John to look like the Superman they usually make him look like, but he still won, even if it was by disqualification. Thankfully that kind of makes Braun still look like a monster. He ended up attacking John Cena with the steel steps, but he didn't get disqualified until he did it the second time. What? Why? I was just confused about that. I was confused about how the fact that John Cena won the match by disqualification, but he was never announced as the winner, and they played Braun Strowman's music to close. It was just odd. My wins, though, started off with Alexa Bliss on commentary. Also, the fact that she was joined by Nia Jax, who was wearing her street clothes. I thought that was pretty cool to see her out of gear. I don't think we've seen that on TV before, so yeah, that was a win for me. I know it's weird and small, but hey. And Alexa Bliss just cracks me up anyway. She's talking with the commentary team about how much celebrating Emma would do should she beat Sasha Banks. And she's like, you know what, I'd delete my social media. Thankfully, Sasha won, so we don't have to worry about that. Little Miss Bliss is going to be keeping us updated on Twitter and Instagram for foreseeable future anyway. Braun Strowman dominating Brock Lesnar was a win for me this week. I mean, he got it from a suplex like it was nothing. Brock was shocked. The crowd was chanting, "Holy shit." And yeah, it was just, loved it. I don't know what to say about it. It was crazy cool. Who would have thought when Braun Strowman debuted as a Rosebud and then a member of the Wyatt family that he would go on to monster handle the Beast Incarnate? What a fairy tale. Asuka to Raw is a big win for me. Excited to see her shake things up over there in the women's division. Be cool to see her go against Alexa for the title. It'd be cool to see her face off with Nia Jax. I mean, she could have some great matches with Mickie James, Emma. The possibilities are endless. I just hope they keep her as undefeated as long as possible. Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins backstage looking for tag team partners for the main event was a win for me because they ran into Dean Malenko and Jamie Noble, and they actually contemplated them being their tag team partners. He's like, look, it's the man of 1,000 holds. I would have been so ecstatic had they actually went out there and wrestled the match, but, we ended up with the Hardys instead. Enzo and Miz were a big win for me this week. It started off as a Miz TV segment. Miz is talking about how no one likes Enzo, how he's been kicked off of tour buses, out of locker rooms, he's on 205 Live because he has nowhere else to go. He says it's sad because he sees so much talent in Enzo, but he'd rather hang out with third-rate rappers. Enzo obviously takes offense. He shoots back, talking about The Miz and how he just steals from everybody else. He copies Chris Jericho, he copies Ric Flair, and while he himself may be annoying, at least he's original. A match ensues, and the two of them are going back and forth on the mic the whole time. Miz at one point pulls out the "How you doin'," and Enzo says, you know what, you're gonna steal my catchphrases? That's okay, I'm not surprised. You steal everything from everybody else, but you shouldn't be asking how you doing. You should be asking that little baby who your daddy. And Miz and Maurice are expecting a baby, so that's also really exciting, but this just cracked me up. I enjoyed the back and forth between Miz and Enzo. I kind of hope it continues for a little bit. They get some kind of mini feud out of it. And congratulations, of course, to the happy couple. I'm sure they're going to have a gorgeous baby. Moving over to SmackDown Live, my first fail has to be the New Day regaining the Tag Team Championships. Not because I don't like the New Day. I do. I enjoy them just as much as the next person. But you know what? They've had their time. They've had their moment. I feel like it's time to step back and let other teams kind of compete for the championship. And I was really fond of the Usos. Having, you know, a heel tag team was exciting to see who was finally going to beat them. And it just ended up being the New Day again. So, like, this back and forth, not feeling it. Let's shake things up, you guys. And Dolph Ziggler was actually a fail for me this week when he used a dead guy to try and get some heat. I enjoyed his promo last week where he came out and was dressed up as Cena and Naomi and whatever. But he apparently didn't get much of a good crowd reaction. I didn't notice because I was enjoying it so much. But yeah, people weren't loving it. So for some reason, he did the exact same promo this week. I don't know what the logic is there, but instead he dressed up as Bayley and Ultimate Warrior. And he actually, like, talked about how much better he was in Ultimate Warrior and, like, a better, superior athlete and all this stuff, and it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So, I still love you, Dolph, but stop. Kevin Owens is my first win for SmackDown Live. I am just adoring everything he's been doing lately. He's just so hilarious. He opens his promo talking about how he didn't fight back last week because he respects authority. He talks about all the changes he's going to make when SmackDown Live becomes the Kevin Owens show. He's going to fire Sami Zayn. He's going to make Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips wear the same suit because they're basically the same person. They sound the same, etc. Whatever he said, I was just dying. Then he talks about how he's going to cancel Fashion Files, and I was not so much a fan of that one. But yeah, it was just hilarious. Shane's music hits. Everyone freaks out, thinks that he's coming out to, you know, put Kevin in his place. But it's just Dolph Ziggler. Kevin laughs, says, you know what? For a second I thought you actually were Shane. But, you know, you're talented and actually work here, so that rules Shane out. And I just lost it. Danny Bryan comes down and, you know, tries to regain control of the situation and threatens him with Vince McMahon, basically. But Kevin Owens says he can't wait for Vince to get here. Throughout the show, he keeps this going, talks about how he's going to have his own private limo when it's the Kevin Owens show. Talks about how he's going to have his own theme song, and he actually had Aiden English, like, sing a little version for him. It was something else. Yeah. Digging it. We'll talk more about it later. Carmella was one for me this week when she had James Ellsworth on an actual leash. Yep. Haul him around like a puppy dog. She was doing commentary for the match between Natalya and Naomi, which is my next win when Naomi taps out and Natalya retains her SmackDown Women's Championship. Vince McMahon is my last win for SmackDown because holy crap, you gotta love him. Whenever ratings are down, whenever anything's going wrong, who do they call? Shane, Stephanie, and Vince. They got Vince McMahon himself on SmackDown for the first time in 4 years. He comes out to tell Kevin Owens that he didn't suspend Shane for what he did to him. He suspended him for not doing enough. He talked about his family, and, you know, that's just a no-no. He goes on to talk about how it's funny that he wants to sue him because Vince has never lost a court case. He says that Kevin Owens will be bankrupt before he ever won anything, and that if he tried to sue him, he'd fire him. Loving it. He says, you know what, we're going to solve this with a match. It's going to be you versus Shane at Hell in a Cell. Kevin Owens agrees, but he wants Vince to promise him that he won't get in trouble if he beats up McMahon if he is provoked. Then Vince decides to get into Kevin Owens' face, and Kevin Owens proceeds to headbutt him so hard that he draws blood. Then he super kicks him, and then he does a frog splash off the top rope. You have to give it up for Vince McMahon. He can take a beating for a 70-year-old. I'm loving this storyline. Cannot wait to see what happens next week. Please check back soon for more Vera's View. I'm Vera for the WWFu InterNetwork.